Have you ever tried to look like something you're not? I'm sure we all have at one point or another, but social media makes it even easier for us to fake it these days. Online, we can project an image of ourselves that may or may not be realistic. We can touch up our photos or add filters. We can clean up one section of the house for a photo op, but have the rest of the house a complete disaster. And of course, we don't post about everything. It's more of a highlight reel. We want people to think certain things are true about us, even if they aren't. And often our projection of a happy, perfect life is just a facade. Hi, I'm Shannon Lenz, your spiritual fitness coach. In the last few episodes, we've seen the Holy Spirit work mightily through the apostles. By the Spirit's power, they performed an amazing miracle of healing. By the Spirit's power, they boldly answered and confounded the Jewish council, the Sanhedrin. And by the Spirit's power, they were not intimidated by the Sanhedrin's threats and attempts to silence them. On the contrary, they prayed for even more boldness so that they could continue to speak his word. Today, as we read Acts chapter 4, verse 32 through Acts chapter 5, verse 11, we see that the Holy Spirit did another amazing work among his early followers. He granted them incredible unity. Acts 4:32 records, "Now the full number of those who believed were of one heart and soul, and no one said that any of these things belonged to him was his own, but they had everything in common." The early believers were united and were willing to share everything with each other. They were even willing to sell properties they owned so that they could use the proceeds to support those in need. One man named Joseph, who is also called Barnabas, was specifically mentioned by name because he sold a field and laid the proceeds from the sale at the feet of the apostles. It's important to note that this generous way of living was voluntary, not compulsory. It was a fruit of the Holy Spirit working among them. They wanted to share and take care of each other. This love for each other was a testament to the work of God. So naturally, Satan wanted to destroy it. Satan had failed to stop the new church, so he tried a different tactic. He attacked the church from the inside, using some key individuals from that fellowship. In this case, it involved, as it does many times, the finances of the church. While many of the believers were selling properties and giving the proceeds of the church, a couple named Ananias and Sapphira decided to do the same. Only they didn't want to give all of the money to the church. They just wanted to make it look like they gave all of the proceeds to the church. In other words, they wanted everyone to think they were more generous and spiritual than they actually were. Acts 5 records that Ananias, with his wife's knowledge, brought only a portion of the proceeds of the sale to lay at the apostles' feet. Peter immediately discerned that Ananias was being deceitful. He said, "Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Holy Spirit and to keep back for yourself part of the proceeds of the land? While it remained unsold, did it not remain to you? And after it was sold, was it not at your disposal? Why is it that you have contrived this deed in your heart? You have not lied to man, but to God." After Peter said those words, Ananias fell down dead. 3 hours later, his wife came in, but she didn't know what had happened to her husband. Peter gave her the opportunity to tell the truth about how much they sold the land for and how much of that money they gave to the church. But she maintained the lie. She too fell over dead on the spot. Ananias and Sapphira's sin was not in keeping part of the proceeds. It was lying about how much they were giving to the church. Their motivations were selfish and prideful, not generous and loving. They wanted their gift to bring them honor rather than honor the Lord and bless others. But their generosity was a facade. It was all hypocrisy, and they paid for that sin with their lives. Naturally, this was a frightening incident for the early body of believers. Dr. Warren Wiersbe noted, "The result was a wave of godly fear that swept over the church and all of those who heard the story. We have moved from great power and great grace to great fear, and all of these ought to be present in the church." Here's your challenge for today. Invest in honest and sincere relationships with other believers this week. The early church was united, generous, open, and honest with each other, and we should seek to be the same.